the stream. No,
We're back.
we're live again. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what happened there. The Facebook knocked us off. So we'll start again. So a big cheers to everyone.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. We're back. Andrea on this side of me and Dr. Julia Carroll.
Thank you for coming on the show.
So, as I said before, for some of you who maybe were on the feed, but obviously we lost you, it's a big week this week in Canada because all of our provinces are open and medical aesthetics and cosmetic surgery is open, which is unbelievable. How's it been going for you two? I'll start with you, Andrea, first. Like, what's the week been like?
Very busy. Yeah, everybody is really, really anxious to get in. Everybody's very excited. As soon as they come in the door, they're just, like we were just chatting earlier, Dr. Carroll and I, they're very excited to be there. They want to kind of get caught up on everything that you've been doing over the isolation period, and the same with them. So it's, and plus we're trying to fit as many people in as we can. So we want to obviously connect with them on that level, but also try not to talk too much because we're trying to see as many people as we can, because everybody is just they really love these services and they're always looking forward to having them done. So it's a really, really great pleasure to be back. But there's a little bit of a level of a stress that's going on with it as well. But it is what it is. I'm very excited to be back.
Awesome. And Dr. Carroll, how's it been going for you? You're the first week back.
It's been great. I mean, we didn't, as a dermatology clinic that does medical and cosmetic, we were actually totally closed for a very short amount of time. So it was fantastic. My staff did an amazing job and we sort of ramped up. So by the time we got back to our full practice, we were like a well-oiled machine, I'm proud to say. But I think the biggest thing for me is as a maritimer and a really big-hearted person, I'm a hugger, and I can't hug my patients. It's killing me.
I'm the same. Same. I love a good hug, and you can. I'm like virtual hugs.
Yeah. But it's like when you see them, you just want to be like, I haven't seen you in so long.
Yes. It's very true.
And how excited are the patients?
Oh, they're so excited. They're like a kid in a candy shop. They're just like, I called and I couldn't believe that you were open. I'm so excited I got in. And my friend called me and said she got in, so I called. And it's like,
yeah. Christmas.
That is so awesome. So it's so good to have you both here. I'll let you take it away, Andrea, and get started with some of the questions.
Yes, very, very excited to be able to speak with you tonight. So, Dr. Carroll, kind of fill us in on what do you feel like the skin kind of goes through when we go through a big kind of transition like this, something like a big drastic change in isolation? Do you feel like it kind of takes a toll on somebody's skin? And if it does, how what are you seeing?
I think there's sort of, three things I think that happened during isolation. I think that one is some people took a really nice break. They pared back on their skincare. They let everything sort of breathe. And then they took a look at what actually was, they built back in what they loved and what they didn't, and took the opportunity to really revamp their skincare. And some people found their skin did very, very well. I think stress, is not the cause of a lot of skin problems, but it really can feed them, can make them better, make them worse. Like your emotions can make things better or worse, not the cause, but can definitely, steer the path. So I think for some people, they're seeing more breakouts, more eczema. So existing skin conditions are definitely getting worse. We're seeing the mask, acne, and something called perioral dermatitis has been really prevalent with a lot of, I treat a lot of doctors and nurses. And so we've seen that. And then I just have my own little secret belief about what's been going on, because we've been, sheltering in place, hiding at home, whatever you want to call it. We're interacting less with the world. And I know personally, I just feel like I need really good exfoliation that I didn't always require before. And it's just in my own mind, I feel like that's about less wear and tear on the skin that's probably exfoliating you just over the day. You've got less wind, less touching of the face, less in and out of the car. And I feel like people need a little bit more exfoliation than they may have in the past. That's just my own personal insight.
That's a really good point. Jumping back to your second point, the perioral dermatitis. So do you find, so that you would say more so for people that are wearing the mask, that's what you're seeing kind of like with your doctors and nurses that you're treating?
Yeah, you can see it with, I think stress often brings it on in general with people, but I have seen it very specifically linked to masks. And we know, from early on in the literature when COVID came out from our Asian colleagues that there was a lot of issues around masks and rashes and, it's humid under there. And then people get into this really, dribble wheel effect where they get a breakout. So they put things on, and then that may be causing more breakouts or this condition called perioral dermatitis. So it can be a real slippery slope. So in that case, I go back to just take it back to basics. Don't be like switching your product every day, trying to fix it. You do need to be a little bit measured and patient when it comes to skincare.
Okay, that's a good point. So you just kind of let it breathe. Don't really keep applying things because it could make it worse, I would think.
Yeah, try something. Try it for a week. Seek the expert opinion of a dermatologist, a skincare specialist. But this whole purchasing a new thing every day on Sephora and then slathering it on and the next to the next to the next, it can be a really bad downward fall.
Definitely, because it can take the skin sometimes a couple of months or a few months to get used to even just one certain product, right?
Right. I always tell my patients, I consider the skin cycle on average about 6 weeks. So you don't want to give something a full thumbs up or thumbs down until you've gone through that 6 weeks. That's
good. Did everybody hear what she just said? 6 weeks.
Don't be a skincare,
That's right. Okay, so my second question. So we're interested in your approach coming out of isolation. So when working with your patients and kind of getting them back to their best self, so what does a typical patient consult look like for you?
Well, I think one of the nicest things about coming out of COVID and being in COVID and then coming out is that I had an opportunity to look at my practice and look at the patients that I had. And, I reviewed my practice, and one of my dear friends and colleagues, Shannon Humphrey, who's in Victoria, she's in Vancouver, BC. So, she's a real advocate for an annual plan. And we had some chats during COVID, and we talked about that, and she brought that idea back to my, top of my list. And I really took her advice to heart and looked at my practice and how I could implement that. And I think people coming back from being away for 3 or 4 months, or some people it's been 6 months if they just missed their appointment. It's a really great opportunity to make a plan for people. So when people are coming in, I'm doing that with them now. I'm taking a look at what we've done in the past and sort of the cadence of the treatments they've been getting. Has it been working, not working? And then I'm also looking at, what are some things that we haven't maybe addressed? Like maybe we've gotten into this habit of just doing filler Botox, and not looked at other things. So people said, my chest has always really bothered me, or my hands are starting to bother me. We did this thing 5 years ago. I really liked it. And so I'm building out an annual plan for patients. And they've been really perceptive to that and really excited about that. And the other thing I think is really important, because we don't know what's going to happen in the next, 3 or 4 months, year. And I feel like we kind of got off the rails when we got shut down and people had something in progress, but we maybe didn't have it completely laid out. Like we talked about it and they kind of knew, but then you forget. So now we have it written in their chart, and we give them a copy. And then if we go off the rails again and we get shut down, when we open up again, or maybe right before we close, or as soon as we open, we can pull those records and say, okay, this is what we were supposed to do, so let's get back on track. So it just keeps us, it's just our map. We can take a right turn or a left turn, but at least we know where we're trying to go.
Oh, I love that. And we do that in our clinic as well. I find, like you said, patients are so receptive to having a plan. They love to have the steps to follow, and you kind of write it all out for them. Like, somebody who would be starting, say, with a little bit of Botox in the glabella, then they're like, okay, so you had talked about maybe doing crow's feet next, and they bring in their little sheet and they're just like, you had written it all down. So can we start in this next spot? So it's a really good point, because they do like to have a plan to follow, and they usually are pretty good with it.
Yeah. And then also, hopefully when we get back to traveling and when weddings are back on, I like to add those things into the plan as well. So we can either plan for an event or around a trip. Does it be sun, no sun? Do you need to be the mother of the bride, and those kind of things?
Absolutely. That's a really good point. Okay, so my next question. So how important is the physician-patient relationship when you're trying to achieve your best results? We kind of talked about that a little bit, but so how do you make your plans work? You set your plan. How do you get that to work?
I think the most important thing is to listen to the patient. If the patient comes in and says, I had this done before somewhere else, I didn't like it, or they come and they say, these lines don't really bother me. It's just this. Like, you have to listen to what is important to them. You can still educate them. But I think it's important that you listen to what their main concern is and at least address it. You can point out the things that you see that maybe they don't see. And they might say, oh yeah, I see that, or I see how A contributes to B, even though I'm only concerned about B. I understand now I have to address A. I think that's really important. And then I think the other part of the partnership is, I'm going to quote another well-known dermatologist, which is Doris Day from New York. And she always said, if their skin doesn't look good, then your work doesn't look good. So, patients have to, do their part. They have to wear their sunscreen. They have to commit to at least a regular, maintenance of the treatments and really great skincare at home.
Very good. Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And that's so true. That's so true. Okay, so my next question. So client results. So how long should a patient kind of expect? We kind of touched on this a little bit, but we live in the world where everybody wants to see that instant gratification. So how do you manage expectations, I guess? And so when you're seeing, especially with acne, for example, or rosacea or something like that, something that takes such a long time to heal, how are you managing those expectations when we live in this instant gratification world?
Well, I think, Andrea, you're so right, because it's managing the expectation. So getting out of them, what is their expectation, right? So they may not say what they think, and if you don't understand where they're coming from, they may be disappointed by the result that they get. So it's important to understand. I think sometimes it's good to give people different options and say, look, we can do something today that'll give you a little boost, but what I really want to do is plan for the long term. And so we can do this. For example, I may say to a patient, I think sculpture is a really great treatment for you. It's going to last a long time. It's going to give you the structure and the underlying, volume that you need. But if this line is really bothering you right now, we should do a little bit of neuromodulator and maybe a little bit of filler, off label. But so it's managing, those expectations. But some people say, what, I'm fine. I don't have anything to do tomorrow, so I'm happy to wait. And other people may say, yeah, what, I've got 5 really important Zoom calls next week, and this is driving me crazy. And if you don't fix that, I'm not going to be happy. So,
that's very true. That's very true. And something like, so somebody comes in who's, devastated by acne or something like that, where, we know, as being in the industry, that's something that's going to take a really long time to kind of clear up. So especially say a teenager or something like that comes in, that's devastated by acne. It's really a lot of hand holding with that when it comes along with treating skin ailments, like something like acne or rosacea or whatever.
Yeah, I think I'm a pretty aggressive acne treater, because as someone who in their teens and 20s suffered from acne, and I still have some of the scars to show from it, I know what that feels like. And I know how, as a teenager, you sort of get, oh, it's just a teenager thing, don't worry about it, it's just a pimple, you'll get over it. But you don't get over it. And I always, tell parents, when I come up with a more aggressive approach that may scare some parents, one of the analogies or situations I'll talk about is, what if, because your daughter or your son has really bad acne on their back, they decide that they no longer want to join us, like be on the swim team because they don't want to expose their back, or they don't want to be on the basketball team because they have to change in the room with the other girls. Maybe they turn down, a date or, hanging out with friends because they've got one pimple. And so like, just keep going down the road. And then what opportunities have they given up in their life? Lifelong friendships, maybe they end up being a star basketball player and then get a scholarship to university. And so if we cut them off, and we don't know, like teenagers are very emotional, and for that matter, adult women too. I have women and men in my office all the time saying like, I don't want to go on any dates because I have these pimples, or, I have a line, whatever it is, it's preventing them from doing something that would probably better their life. So as much as the parent or the individual thinks I'm just getting upset about a little pimple, it's way more than that.
Absolutely. It's so true. It can be devastating for people. And that's, it's sometimes hard to address.
Yeah. So I didn't really answer your question, but what I was going to say was, so I will often just I'm pretty aggressive with acne because I think it's important. And then sometimes we'll do prescription medication, but I also will add in, laser treatments. We have a Forever Clear BBL, protocol that we use because sometimes people just want like that quick fix just to get started and get things going. And then they settle down. They're like, okay, I know you got me. And now I'm okay to do a long-term treatment.
Yeah, absolutely. And lasers work quite well with acne if it's the right client. They need all they need to meet to be able to have the treatment done.
Yeah, it can work for the results, like for getting rid of some of the pigment, getting rid of some of the redness. It's not the long-term solution, but it's a partnership and it's doing multiple things.
Absolutely. Okay, so my next question. So when you do say you're a client on a treatment, so what homework basically what do they need to do to achieve optimal outcome? What kind of homework do they have to do at home? I guess follow your plan for one.
I think follow the plan. Another thing is just be really honest with me. I always tell my patients, we're going to work together. We're going to make a plan. If there's something you don't like, or you weren't happy with the result, or you wanted more or less, like you need to tell me because I'm not a mind reader. So you need to let myself, my staff know. I really always want an open communication. I think skincare at home is really important. I'm really hard to get into, so the odd patient will cheat on me. And so if that happens, I just, again, want them to be honest with me about, they always come back. They'll pretend like they didn't have something done somewhere else. So I said, just be honest, let me know. It's okay. Sometimes I can't get into my hairdresser and I go get a little trip somewhere else. Sorry, Paul. I always regret it, but I sometimes have to do that. So I think for me, it's honesty, education, and just let us know, and let us know what your budget is. If you have a budget, give us the number, and then we'll tell you what the best thing is that's gonna give you the best bang for your buck. When we don't, we never waste people's money, but we'll layer things, but I can prioritize based on the budget.
Definitely, because it's often multiple modalities to treat something like that. It's not just, people think it is a one-stop shop, but it's not. Like the skin is slow at responding to some things. So you have to kind of go at that speed.
Yeah, it's like when you get dressed in the morning, I tell my patients, are you going to put on your pants or your shirt? Like that's what they're trying to get me to pick. And I'm like, no, you need your bra, your underwear, your pants, your shirt, your jewelry. It's everything.
No, that's a good analogy. I like that.
I do. I think I'm going to use that analogy as well.
Yeah, me
too. So in 5 years from now, they'll be like, there was this dermatologist. It's just like I'm quoting Shannon Humphrey.
I love it. So Dr. Carroll, you're quite a busy person because you're also the president of CAM as well. So tell us a little bit about CAM and what you've been doing to get prepared for the upcoming event in October.
So we have our annual conference, which is of the Canadian Association of Aesthetic Medicine in October. And I told you, now I forget the dates. Is it 25, 26, 24, 25?
24th to the 26th.
Yeah, it's the Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. And our hope is that we will still, we're planning on keeping those dates. And we're looking at virtual options right now. And we have some really exciting things in the pipe. So some amazing technology that we're working on, and also partnering with a really interesting host who's completely outside of the industry. Because I think there's a lot of content right now available in terms of education around injections and lasers, and there's a lot of content available. So we're looking to give our members something that's value add and something that they can, what I always want, like when I give a talk, I want to give people information that they write that down, and when they go home on Monday, they're going to make a change, whether it's in their practice and their personal life. So we want these like really tangible take-home educational events. And so I'm not going to announce right now, but we have some really great partners that we're working with, and we want it to be different than the other content that's out there, and really like make it so our members come away feeling more empowered to really help their businesses and help their practices, and then ultimately help their patients.
Okay, awesome. And if there's any professionals listening out there that aren't CAM members, how do they get hold of you guys to become a member?
Yeah, so CAM.ca, so CAAM.ca is the website, Canadian Association of Aesthetic Medicine. It's a lovely group of people. You know, we're not trying to be a 3,000 member association. It's a really tight group. There's a lot of people who've been members for years and years and years. You know, some of the board members that have been around, they literally at points have put their own personal money in to keep CAM afloat when it was a fledgling organization. You know, I came in a little bit later, but I stand on the shoulders of those giants who really put their heart and soul, like Dr. Van Aert, into this organization. And, you know, for me as a dermatologist, you know, it's an organization that has dermatologists, surgeons, like family practitioners, all, you know, lots of specialties, but we're all focused on the same thing, which is great results for our aesthetic patients. And I just believe in education, and a rising tide raises all ships. I just want everybody in Canada to be the best at what they do, so everyone's safe and our patients get really great results.
Awesome. I love collaboration. And you know what? I've been to CAM the last 2 or 3 years, and it's definitely a wonderful event to go to, and some awesome characters to network with as well.
And it's fun. Like we have amazing parties.
Yeah.
And it's like a family reunion every year. It's really great.
So this is the first time we'll be able to have virtual parties, right?
I know. We have to figure that part out.
Yeah.
Cool. So back to talking a bit more shop. So we're coming out of isolation now, and I guarantee there's a lot of people out there who have never dipped their toes into this industry or had anything done from a cosmetic or medical aesthetics point of view. So what's some advice to them, like some good procedures or some good technology that they can start with to sort of to ease themselves into this industry if they want to treat themselves after coming out of isolation?
Well, I think it always starts with an excellent consult. So don't just jump in and get a little like wham bam, thank you ma'am, Botox and walk out the door. No one's going to be happy with that. So start with a consultation, and again, work on that plan. Like, what is it that you saw during isolation that you didn't like? Why was it that it bothered you? How did it make you feel? You know, did it remind you of your grandmother? Did it make you sad? Like, what is it? Start with that. I think, having said what I just said, though, Botox is always a home run, or neuromodulator.
Yeah.
I think glycolic acid in skincare is really important, just from my own observations of that lack of exfoliation that we've been having. I feel like my patient's skin just really needs that glow and that shine back. Microneedling is something that we love doing at my office. I'm actually kind of greedy with it. As a physician, I actually do my own microneedling, which is a little bit rare, but I love it.
I do too.
I get aggressive with it, but it's great because I can do all those things, and then a day later they walk. You know, they're just a little bit pinkish, if at all, and it's really great for all skin types. You can do it in the summertime. So that's the problem we're running into right now, is a lot of the things that people want to do, all of a sudden, like in Toronto, summer came like that, and now some of those procedures we can't do. So those are some of the top hits. But the most important thing is have a consultation and have a plan. Make sure someone's not just selling you a package or whatever they have on special. Make sure it's individualized to you and your needs.
Cool. And then from your professional opinion and what you do at your clinic, a lot of these people new into the industry, sometimes they get the wrong impression of our industry and they get a little bit scared from, say, some of the faker results that are out there. What do you do in your clinic to get more natural results, should I say? What are some of the processes you follow?
So I think it goes back to education, and education two ways. So having the provider, the doctor, the dermatologist be educated. My whole team, we travel a lot. We both speak and we attend lectures, and we're just hungry for knowledge all the time. And I think that's what kind of, we know the anatomy of the face. We know how to use the products to get the best results. And for us, it's not about changing, morphing someone into somebody different. It's about taking the features that they have and enhancing them. And so, for example, I don't want to lift someone's face by just filling it. I want to take advantage of some of the ligaments that are already there that have weakened or sagged over time and just strengthen them. So I just want to take their own strengths and re-strengthen them, if that makes sense. When I look at neuromodulator or Botox, it's about balancing the face. It's not about freezing the face. So it's education on the part of the physicians, but then it's also education on the part of the patients. So we spend a lot of time talking about what the products can and can't do and what you can expect from them. And one of my favorite lines is always, don't blame the paint, blame the painter. So don't push a whole product line aside because you saw somebody had like bad Botox or bad filler.
Yep.
That's the filler that you see walking around everywhere else. There's lots of people with awesome filler that you can't even tell.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I really do like that. And now for some more experienced people who have been in the industry for a while, and I notice it, and this is kind of a selfish question for me, is I find that sometimes our skin starts to plateau. And do you have some tips for those patients that are following a patient journey or a patient treatment, and they get to a little part of their journey or their treatment where their skin starts to dull a little bit or plateau and they're not seeing some of the results they were maybe a few weeks prior?
Right. So, I think there's some great opportunity there for lasers. We have the hybrid laser known as Halo that does ablative, non-ablative. That's a really great laser. Very little downtime for what you get in terms of a result. So it's interesting because I think when you look at like the spectrum of patients, some of the things that you're going to do for the very early patient would be the same thing you would do for the patient who's, I've done everything, what else can I do? They end up being very similar treatment plans or treatment add-ons. So I love Halo laser. At our office, we do a combination laser called the Illuminator that's made up of a light and a laser combination. That's sort of like a baby halo. Our patients love that one. For me, I always try to do combinations, things that you can get done. You can get done in one go or a short amount of time. I'm really busy, so I'm not the kind of person that likes to do a series of treatments, although I have, some patients that like that, and that's great. But for me, I tend to opt for the thing that's the one and done. Again, on the combinations, I love microfocus ultrasound, particularly the Althera, which has the guidance, so you can actually see where you are in the tissue. And I love combining it with calcium hydroxyapatite. So you get a collagen boost and then the lift at the same time. That's been a real hero in our office for jawline. And then over the COVID break, we started experimenting with low G prime hyaluronic acid. Particularly, we're using Bolite in our office, and we did a lot of treatments on our staff and on ourselves, and we really fell back in love with that treatment. And so it's a filler, but really it's different. It's for skin quality, hydration, firmness in the skin, and we really like that. So that's great for, again, the newbie who's never done anything, or the person who's done everything and says, what else?
How are you injecting that?
I'm doing it freehand. So I also believe that there's some benefit to the needling aspect of it. So I know some people do cannula. I just tend to do freehand. So it's just like little grids, frequently changing my sharp and, people get the odd bruise, but it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah. And for our viewers, it's also called something called like a beauty booster, something that they might recognize it as.
Yeah. So I have a machine that also does it, but right now I'm liking just the straight, out of the needle or out of the syringe product.
Mm-hmm. It's a fabulous treatment.
I'm greedy. I steal that treatment and do it.
You've been missing out because of isolation. You just want to get into it, right? Yeah. And the last question from me tonight. How important is diet and hydration in terms of like keeping that glow in our skin?
Well, thank God you didn't throw in exercise. I know I'm supposed to, but I'm not very good at doing it. No, I think that hydration is one that it drives me crazy, because if you read in the magazines or on blogs, the celebrities will say, oh, I just make sure I drink my 8 glasses of water every day, and go see Dr. So-and-so in LA is not what they say. So, you can't win with water alone. It's just, you're winning with water alone. You just have amazing genetics, right? Yeah. It's like the patients that say, I've always used oil of Olay, and my grandmother and my mother, we all did. I'm like, but the other thing you have in common is your DNA. Yeah. Right? So I think that hydration, it's good. It makes you feel good. I don't think you can drink enough water to hydrate your skin. I think that the skin is designed to keep the outside world out and the inside world in, and drinking water is not going to hydrate your skin. Diet, I think, recently today, there's just a study that just came out that gave some more support to the fact that milk and high glycemic index diets, so high sugar diets, high complex carbohydrate diets, that they can contribute to acne. But we see these studies, they go, back and forth. So I think the high glycemic index is one consistently that we see that can contribute to acne. But milk, I think the jury is still out, but it's worth a try. If you have breakouts, you can cut milk out of your diet. It's milk specifically, not just dairy, but milk. So I think it's part of a holistic approach to being healthy. But when people have a true skin problem, I don't think you can eat or drink your way in or out of it.
I like that. I like the way you said that. So thank you so much for joining us today.
It's over already?
It is. Well, we can talk more. We can have more questions if you want.
I want to know your beauty secrets. So you do. It sounds like you do a kind of smorgasbord of everything, because your skin looks great. You look great. So tell us all your beauty secrets. What do you do?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty good about skincare, but I don't have a crazy 10-step routine. So my non-negotiables are sunscreen, an antioxidant, and a retinol. And I like glycolic acid as well. I use quite a lot of that. And then Emipel, which is my skin-specific estrogen product that I use, has become more important to me lately. I'm getting old.
No. How aggressive are you?
It's like lots of everything, right? I love Sculptra. So I love Sculptra for keeping the base like filled up and tight without looking unnatural. I do an Ulthera once a year. Forever Young BBL is something that I do a number of times a year. What else? The Volite or the beauty boosters. I try to do that every 6 months. And then I have this awesome dermatologist named Dr. Sonia Cook. and she keeps me topped up with a bit of neuromodulator and a bit of filler. That's it.
What about the neck? I mean, we hear it all the time in our practices. Are you also treating the neck when you're treating your face?
I think one of the things that I talk to my patients about when we talk about skincare is your face stops here.
I love it.
It's called the French face. It goes all the way down, includes the décolleté. Yeah. And I tell people to put stuff on the back of their hands. Yes. I'm a sailor, so I do have some sun damage on my neck from over the years from probably not being as diligent. And then I think also we focus on our face. So I'll laser my face, and then I won't always get, my esthetician to laser all the way down. So we were working on that. For necks, I love Radiesse, the calcium hydroxyapatite, for that structure. and then maybe some Ulthera on top of that to tighten. And then for like the extra icing on the cake, the Beauty Booster or the Volite on top to really hydrate that skin and really help to reverse that tech neck that we probably have a lot more of right now.
Yeah, that's a beautiful approach. Patients must be so happy with their results with that. The radius in the neck, like the hyperdiluted radius, we're seeing so much more of that, I find.
Yeah, radius is great. We're actually doing some research right now with some off-face radius Ulthera combinations, and it's a really versatile product. The problem is with some of these products, like the Volite, like the radius, they're put in these categories and people look them up and then they're like, well, that's like, why is she using that? Because we are using all these things off label, and there's a lot of research that's out there. So it's there's a lot more that these things can do when they're in the right hands.
Absolutely. I mean, now I find like this industry is going more off the face and onto the body, like not just the neck, but we're seeing the décolleté, we're seeing the arms being treated with fillers, like radius, like we're seeing the butt area, which is huge, like the sculpture butt lift, like we're seeing so much more of that as well.
Yeah, because people they don't want to go under the knife, and there's other options. I mean, I'm all for people going under the knife if that's what they want to do, but sometimes it's nice to put that off. And right now I think it's there's a lot of backlog in surgery, so it's nice to be able to have other options. And we didn't even talk about cool sculpting.
Oh yes,
that too. Yeah,
I love cool sculpting. I've had cool sculpting done. I love that treatment. I think it's fantastic. It is a nice alternative, like you said, to somebody who doesn't want to have the downtime of liposuction. I mean, I love lipo too, but cool sculpting is a really cool concept that works really well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. What do they call it? The elegant potato peeler. It just takes that little layer off wherever, arms,
Yeah, and it's pretty, and you can treat, I mean, now you can even do submental with it.
Yeah, I think we're one of the biggest submental clinics, at least in Ontario, if not in Canada, because we do so much face that we throw a lot of the cool minis in for the submental. And the nice part is that you do it and then it's done. It's a one or two sessions usually.
And you're seeing great results with it.
Yeah, we get great results. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. So where is your clinic? Tell us where your clinic is.
So we are in Midtown Toronto. Technically it's called the Mount Pleasant Village. Basically, just in the heart of Toronto. It's very neighborhood feel. Our office. Most of our patients live, very close, within 10 minutes, half an hour. We have a condo above us, so a lot of the patients come from actually right on top. They'll call down and say, "Is she on time?"
In their pajamas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or they'll be like, if she has a cancellation, I'm literally right up there.
I love it. Come down in their slippers.
Even though we're in Toronto, we still most of our patients are from our communities, and even in the big city, we still form really tight communities, and so we do feel like I'm from a small town, a small community, and I think the clinic that we've built still feels like that for me, which is great.
And the clinic's just been renovated, and I haven't had a chance to see it. It looks beautiful from behind you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, the last time I was there, it was the builders were still working on it, so I can't wait to.
We have lots of space now, so having our waiting room closed would have really been an issue in our old space. But now people can look at our beautiful waiting room, and then we have lots of rooms they can go into. So
that's awesome. And I must say, I follow you a lot on Instagram, so viewers, check out Dr. Julia Carroll at Dr. Julia Carroll. She posts a lot. I watched an amazing video on retinol the other day that you posted that I really liked. Also on LinkedIn, I love the articles that you share on LinkedIn and the studies and the data that you share on LinkedIn as well. I find those very interesting. So viewers, go on to at Dr. Julia Carroll and then follow her on LinkedIn at Julia Carroll as well. And if you want to check out the Compass Dermatology website, it's just compassdermatology.ca. And ring up and book an appointment with Dr. Carroll or Dr.
You might have to join the wait list, but
it'll be worth it. It'll be
worth the wait. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. We're sorry about the technical difficulties early on. That's never happened before, but Facebook rejected us.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe they knew they were in for some racy content or something.
I don't know. They
Disappointed. Sorry, Facebook.
we were able to get back on. So thank you so much. And to our viewers, we will be back hopefully next week. We'll post on our pages to let you know what's coming up. And to all the physicians, nurses, medical estheticians, and professionals out there, stay safe. Congratulations for being back at work. It must be so fun. And I personally can't wait to see you all when it's time for the business professionals to come back to the industry as well. So until then, look after yourselves. And soon some cities will be able to have a drink at the pub this weekend, which will be quite nice.
Can't wait.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carroll.
Have a great night.